let's go. That's man.
Tonight, generals from North and South Korea meeting at the DMZ to ease tensions. But now stunning intelligence that Kim Jong-un is secretly building new long-range missiles that could reach as far as New York or Washington, coming just days after President Trump was bragging about his success at the Singapore summit.
We had a fantastic meeting with Chairman Kim, and it seems to be going very well.
Arms control experts tell NBC News a July 7th satellite photo shows 3 heavy-duty trucks, indicating North Korea is building long-range missiles at a plant outside Pyongyang, often visited by Kim.
When we look at satellite photographs and we look at the country's propaganda, it's been business as usual all year before and after the summit.
The Secretary of State acknowledged the regime is still producing nuclear weapons fuel, as first reported by NBC News last month.
North Korea continues to produce fissile material, nuclear bomb material. Is that correct?
Yes, they continue to produce fissile material.
Less than 3 hours by tank across this flat terrain from the Russian border, NATO troops train for battle with the aim of avoiding war.
We are here simply taking our part in NATO, and we are delivering against NATO's core business, which is collective defence. We're here defensively, but we're here to fight and defend should the need arise.
It's a scenario that Europe fears could unfold in Estonia and other Baltic states, once part of the Soviet Union, now frontline NATO members. Russia's 2014 annexation of Crimea rattled the alliance, and it's taking no chances. Estonia has welcomed the NATO deployment, officially known as its Enhanced Forward Presence, aimed at deterring Russia from repeating its invasion of Ukraine. 800 British troops make up the bulk of the 1,000-strong battle group. These soldiers are just beginning a new 6-month tour.
Here's a threat. You hack into our electrical grid and we'll stick it to you. Okay? I think we're speaking to Russia there. Henry Vaughan has more on how we'll stick it to them. Go.
Hi, Stuart. Well, some of these new penalties that the administration is considering would target the individuals behind the attacks, not the entire country. They say that they're not looking at hitting back at another nation's electrical grid, but they are looking at some legal crackdowns, like indictments, tracking down individual hackers and having local authorities arrest them, asset seizure and sanctions. The whole idea is to deter bad actors from meddling with U.S. infrastructure from the start. It was triggered by a sweeping cyber attack from Russia where hackers gained access to the control rooms of U.S. electric utilities, giving them the power to cause blackouts. And now the Department of Homeland Security says the potentially catastrophic attack triggered this new strategy to focus on aggressive deterrence before something worse happens. The DHS is partnering with state, treasury, and defense to come up with a forward-leaning strategy, but deterrence isn't enough. Utility companies and the National Infrastructure Advisory Council to the president says the threat to America's electrical grid is so serious, the U.S. needs to be prepared for a catastrophic power outage. In a letter to the president, the council writes, cyber capabilities among federal agencies are divided, uncoordinated, and often duplicative, making them insufficient to address sophisticated cyber threats. Today, the council says a cyber attack on infrastructure puts private companies on the front line, and they think that we need to be prepared if something does happen. Stuart.
All right, Hillary, thank you very much indeed. There's a Russian meddling threat that I can understand.
Iran has begun major Navy drills in the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. defense officials say dozens of small military boats have been deployed by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in the beginning stages of these exercises. Officials say the boats were deployed for a, quote, swarming operation meant to shut down the strait should a conflict with the United States break out. These exercises come as tensions between the USA and Iran continue to escalate.
A 40-ton Soviet tank throwing its speed and might against the finest of margins. If armies held Olympics, this would be it. 32 countries racing each other so fast that tanks teeter on their edges and crash through a supersized steeplechase. But this is not just a game. The images of tanks tearing down dirt tracks and piling into water project Russia's military power and show how it is ready and trained to use it. Among the competitors are a host of Russia's allies, including Iran and Syria, all honing their skills. Some in aerial bombardment, others ground attack and troop landings. One Iranian team said it was a chance to share expertise.
The participation of the Iranian team is already an exchange of experience. We have gained a lot of experience. We have gained a lot, of course. One of our key goals is strengthening ties between the Russian Federation and the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran.
With few NATO countries involved, the games may cause concern among Russia's adversaries, but the Ministry of Defense insists it is nothing more than sport.
At the top of this hour, I talked about my editorial, the unrest in Venezuela. Joining us now is an expert on that subject, Mary Anastasia O'Grady, columnist with the Wall Street Journal. Now, you saw what I had to say.
Yes.
I'm saying America should not do anything in the immediate short term, because to do anything would help Maduro and gang up Latin America against us. What do you think America should do?
Well, I don't think that's the reason not to do anything. But let me back up for a minute. Anybody who says Venezuela is finished, I give you Zimbabwe. Okay, they had hyperinflation. Sure. They have the same party in power. They just won an election. Who knows if it was fair? And anybody who says that Venezuela has nothing to do with us, I give you Afghanistan, where a lot of the problems that we received on 9/11 were cooked up in Afghanistan. So I think it's very important to understand that Venezuela, in the situation it is right now, is a threat to the United States. There are problems there. They instituted direct flights back and forth to Tehran and to Damascus. They've been bringing people from the Middle East. They love migration crises because migration crises allow them to plant people that they want in the rest of South America, in those mobs of people that are crossing the border, which is what you have in Venezuela right now. I would agree that we shouldn't do anything unilaterally. There's a lot of interest in South America because of the destabilization that's going on with this government in somehow trying to contain this problem. So anything that we do has to be a coalition, and maybe even a coalition that's not led by us. I mean, Colombia is very interested in solving the problem, Brazil, Argentina.
But what would the coalition do? I mean, the idea of invading, that's not going to happen, obviously. But some quiet action by the CIA and some other secret services?
The two things that I think are most appropriate would be, first of all, on the financial front, sort of trying to isolate the country. And remembering, by the way, that Venezuela is run by Cuba right now. And the path to fixing Venezuela goes through Cuba. So you have to get a coalition of people who agree that Cuba is misbehaving and that Cuba also should pay a price for what it's doing there in terms of the financial markets. And of course, the other thing is, I do think that, covert activity is underrated. I know that we went through a period of time where we said, well, we're not going to do that anymore. But in fact, that's one of the most effective ways. Infiltrate, find out what they're doing with our other enemies, because again, this is not just a banana republic going down. This is a country that is using, or a movement that is using a foothold in South America to basically plan and inflict more damage around the region.
You set me straight, Mary. No, seriously, that's really good. The idea that they are collapsing and are just going to go away, refuted by Zimbabwe, good point. Yeah. And the idea that they are just benignly collapsing, forget that. They're a danger to us.
I think so. I think so.
I appreciate that, Mary. Very good.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, you might be back, you know.